In the Munich Security Conference, Foreign Minister Wang Yi said improving global governance requires restoring the leading role of the United Nations. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio expressed America's desire to maintain transatlantic relations despite increasing rift. And a look at how locals and tourists spend their holidays ahead of the Lunar New Year. Good evening and welcome to TVB News. The Munich Security Conference is being held in Germany from Friday to Sunday. During the China session of the International Summit, Wang said reforming and improving global governance requires restoring the leading role of the United Nations. Nasri Karim reports.
The China session of the Munich Security Conference was held on Saturday morning local time, and Foreign Minister Wang Yi delivered a speech. He mentioned that the international situation has been turbulent over the past year, with the law of the jungle and unilateralism prevailing. Peaceful development has reached a new crossroads. Maintaining international coordination and cooperation requires seeking common ground while reserving differences and pursuing win-win cooperation. He called for a return to the original mission and the restoration of the leading role of the United Nations. He said without the United Nations, the world would revert to the jungle era of the survival of the fittest. Wang Yi further pointed out the need to uphold multilateralism, with major powers taking the lead in promoting cooperation, avoiding conflict and confrontation, and adhering to rules without double standards. During the Q&A session, Wang Yi warned Japan not to go back to the path of militarism. Wang Yi also mentioned in his speech that this year is the starting year of China's 15th five-year plan, with the aim of improving people's lives. Nazri Karim, TVB News.
Deepening transatlantic tensions have dominated the opening day of the Munich Security Conference. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio expressed America's desire to maintain transatlantic relations despite increasing rift. This as German Chancellor Friedrich Merz warned that the rules-based world order no longer exists. Tracy Furness reports.
As host of the Munich Security Conference, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz called for the United States and Europe to repair and revive transatlantic trust together, arguing that being part of NATO is to America's advantage and the US is not powerful enough to go it alone.
For 3 generations, trust amongst allies, partners and friends has made NATO the strongest alliance of all times. Europe knows deeply how precious this is. In the era of great power rivalry, even the United States will not be powerful enough to go it alone. Dear friends, being a part of NATO is not only Europe's competitive advantage, it's also the United States' competitive advantage. So let's repair and revive transatlantic trust together. We, the Europeans, we are doing our part.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio expressed America's desire to maintain transatlantic relations despite increasing rift.
We are part of one civilization, Western civilization. We are bound to one another by the deepest bonds that nations could share, forged by centuries of shared history, Christian faith, culture, heritage, language, ancestry, and the sacrifices our forefathers made together for the common civilization to which we have fallen heir.
This is French President Emmanuel Macron said that Europe has to learn to become a geopolitical power, adding, it is the right time for a strong Europe.
Europe is rearming, but we must now go beyond. Europe has to learn to become a geopolitical power. It was not part of our DNA. We conceived ourselves as a political construction to provide peace. We delivered. Second, a single market to provide growth and prosperity. We delivered. Now we have to reform it in this new order. In this new geopolitical environment, Europe has to become a geopolitical power.
The Munich Security Conference is the world's leading forum for debating international security policies and takes place once a year. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Foreign Minister Wang Yi is in Germany for the Munich Security Conference. On the sidelines of the conference, he met with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Wang said Beijing and Washington should strengthen cooperation in various fields in order to promote the stable development of China-U.S. relations. Samantha Lee reports.
Foreign Minister Wang Yi traveled from Hungary to Germany to attend the Munich Security Conference. Wang held a meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio that lasted about an hour. According to Xinhua News Agency, Wang Yi conveyed to Rubio that President Xi Jinping and U.S. President Donald Trump set strategic guidelines for the development of China-U.S. relations. Both sides concluded that the meeting was positive and constructive, agreeing to work together to implement the consensus reached by the two leaders. By expanding the list of cooperation, Wang believes the two countries can maintain a stable, healthy, and sustainable relationship. This marks the second in-person meeting between the two senior diplomats since Trump began his second term, following their last encounter in Malaysia last July. Wang also had a meeting with Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha. Despite a shifting geopolitical landscape, Wang reaffirmed China's commitment to its friendship with Ukraine. He added China is willing to offer a new round of humanitarian aid for Ukraine and called on Kiev to continue to ensure the safety of Chinese personnel in the country. He noted intensive diplomatic efforts surrounding the Ukraine crisis have been encouraging. China's position, he said, has remained consistent, upholds objectivity and fairness, and actively promotes peace talks. Wang also met with foreign ministers of the UK, France, Austria, and Serbia. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
Foreign Minister Wang Yi also held talks with his German and French counterparts, stressing that China and Europe are partners and not adversaries. Foreign Minister Wang Yi earlier met with German Foreign Minister Johann Wadephul and French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot in a trilateral meeting in the capital of Germany's Bavarian state. During the talks, Wang emphasized the three parties bear the responsibility of maintaining global peace and boosting development as major countries and economies. Wang highlighted the past 5 decades of diplomatic relations between China and Europe prove that the two are partners instead of adversaries, stressing mutual reliance does not lead to risk and that free and open cooperation would not result in security concerns. Wang noted that China's development provides Europe with opportunities, adding that threats to Europe do not originate from China. Wang further hopes the two European Union states could implement reasonable and pragmatic China-oriented policies and respect the core interests of all sides. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot said France welcomes the global governance initiative proposed by President Xi Jinping and looks forward to China's initiatives that foster multilateralism and free trade. Germany's Wadephul, meanwhile, said Berlin views Beijing's role in global affairs with high regard and is willing to strengthen communication with China. He added that Germany firmly adheres to the One China policy and continues to pursue a long-term stable relationship with China. The Chinese Communist Party Central Committee and the State Council held a Spring Festival gathering at the Great Hall of the People in Beijing, which was attended by President Xi Jinping. On Saturday morning, more than 2,000 people at the Great Hall of the People to celebrate the upcoming Spring Festival. President Xi extended New Year greetings to the people of China, compatriots in Hong Kong and Macau Special Administrative Regions, compatriots in Taiwan, and overseas Chinese. In his speech, Xi stated that the 2026 will be the 105th anniversary of the founding of the Communist Party of China and the first year of the 15th Five-Year Plan. He said we must adhere to the general principle of seeking progress while maintaining stability. And back locally, the Immigration Department expects land border crossings reached a peak today ahead of the Lunar New Year holidays. Scores of residents have already started their long vacations with just days until the start of the Lunar New Year holidays. There were scenes of large crowds gathered at the West Kowloon station earlier today, with many of them hoping to celebrate the New Year with their families across the border. Most high-speed rail tickets were already sold out. This man said he's planning to return to Dongguan to visit his relatives and hopes to enjoy a festive meal with them. While this man said he will go back to Fujian to have a 10-day gathering with 9 extended families. But not all travelers were northbound, as Hong Kong remains a popular New Year destination for mainland residents. This Guangzhou tourist says she loves the city and looks forward to spending her holidays here, having already planned on joining a celebrity meetup and participating in government-organized activities. Immigration authorities earlier forecasted that between Saturday and the 23rd of this month, some 11 million people would cross the border, with the majority passing through checkpoints such as Lowu and Lok Ma Chau. Many local residents have also chosen to remain in the city during the holidays, with New Year markets already packed with eager buyers of festive products. This woman said the market situation remains positive this year, while prices remain largely the same as before. While this man said the market is more atmospheric than before. The government held a seminar this morning on the White Paper, Hong Kong's practice of safeguarding national security under one country, two systems. The seminar was held at the government headquarters. Chief Executive John Lee, Chief Secretary for Administration Eric Chan Kwok-hee, senior government officials, and members of the Executive Council and Legislative Council attended. Speeches were delivered by Chief Executive John Lee, Zhou Ji, the director of Beijing's liaison office in Hong Kong, as well as others. John Lee said the White Paper is extremely important to Hong Kong, as it clearly defines national security as the highest principle of one country, two systems. He also mentioned that the White Paper's release date, the day after Jimmy Lai's sentencing, serves as a warning. And still ahead, in search of the perfect flower on Valentine's Day. TVB News goes to Russia to find out the flower market there as the country's war with Ukraine continues. And U.S. President Donald Trump said a change in power in Iran would be the best thing that could happen. Welcome back. Today is Valentine's Day. The flower market in Mong Kok was buzzing with romantics looking for bouquets for their loved ones. Samantha Lee visited the flower market earlier today.
The Mong Kok flower market was a sea of people this morning. Many were on a secret mission.
It's my wife's favorite, tulips. She likes it. I will give it to my son and he will give it to my wife. He will present it to her. Yeah. But I think she's expecting it. And I want to send a message to all the guys. Please buy more flowers for women. They love it. Я люблю тебя.
Happy wife, happy life. I'm just going to meet her for dinner tonight. So, yeah, just bring them along.
While many boyfriends and husbands were browsing solo, some other couples were turning the visit into a date.
I'm looking for orchids and I'm looking for Dutch tulips from the Netherlands.
I want to surprise her with roses, so I'm going to do that without telling her. This is Valentine's Day. You shouldn't have a budget. Just spend.
A florist said there is a 30 to 40% hike in costs. The double demand from Valentine's Day and the Lunar New Year has pushed up transport and labor costs, resulting in pricier flowers, said Ms. Chen.
Since the Valentine's Day falls just 3 days before the Lunar New Year, some are choosing calendar for their longevity. These blooms can last for around 1 month, ensuring the romance can linger well into the Spring Festival celebration.
This year, 219 couples tied the knot to mark the special occasion. This pair had their wedding in South Korea last year, but wanted to officially register in Hong Kong on February 14th. We were actually worried we couldn't make it this day because we had to fly back from Korea to make a booking. But we got lucky. We managed to grab a slot. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
Today is also Valentine's Day in Russia. Russians are stereotypically portrayed as cold and unemotional, but they also have a romantic side with the giving of flowers being one of the most popular ways of showing their love. But with the supply of fresh flowers being affected by the ongoing war with Ukraine, TVB News visited Moscow and found that some Russian shops are opting for importing Chinese flowers, which also helps to reduce costs. Strolling on the streets of Moscow, it is not uncommon to find 3 to 4 flower shops on a single street, with flowers being available for sale even inside restaurants and hotels. Local resident Ruslan said he doesn't only buy flowers for his girlfriend during special days, but does it on a monthly basis. He added that many believe Russians are a very serious people, but in reality, they love to cheer up their loved ones. Despite the popularity of floral gifts in Russia, scores of shops are facing a big challenge: the lack of fresh flowers. In the past, Russia imports 70% of its fresh flowers primarily from countries such as the Netherlands and Ecuador. But with the Russo-Ukrainian war soon reaching its 4th anniversary, local flower shops have been unable to procure flowers from the West owing to sanctions. Locally grown flowers also come in far less diversity. Iyas, a local flower shop owner, said many have begun importing Chinese flowers, including roses and carnations. Besides the high quality, he stressed that Chinese imports are also far cheaper. Iyas believes Russia will further expand its imports of Chinese flowers given China's gradual improvement of flower packaging techniques. U.S. President Donald Trump said a change in power in Iran will be the best thing that could happen, as his administration weighs whether to take military action against Tehran. Tracy Furness reports.
U.S. President Donald Trump had already moved aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln and other military assets to the Persian Gulf, suggesting the U.S. could attack Iran over the killing of peaceful demonstrators, or if Tehran conducts mass executions over the protests. Now a second American aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford, has been recalled from the Caribbean Sea to the Middle East to back up the first carrier after U.S.-Iran nuclear talks failed.
The United States is sending a second aircraft carrier to the Middle East. This comes amid high tensions with Iran over its nuclear program. The USS Gerald R. Ford will be coming to the Middle East. The Ford is the world's biggest aircraft carrier, and it will move alongside the USS Abraham Lincoln, which has been in the region for some time now.
Trump threatened to use force against Iran should it not reach a deal over its nuclear program.
What can Iran do to avoid attack? Give us the deal that they should have given us the first time. If they give us the right deal, we won't do that. But, you know, historically, they haven't done that. I will say they want to talk, but so far they do a lot of talking and no action.
Trump also warned Iran that he is willing to use force if it kills peaceful protesters or conducts mass executions of those detained since Iran's crackdown on the nationwide protests last month. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
A carnival atmosphere overtook the Brazilian cities of Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo. In Rio, the 5-day Carmelites Festival was founded in 1990, with revelers coming out dressed as nuns and priests of the region's Carmelite convent. It starts with the mayor of Rio de Janeiro giving the key to the city to King Momo, the symbolic monarch of the festival. This year's Momo is 30-year-old Danilo Vieira, a Rio native who will be taking charge of the 5-day celebrations. Rio City Hall expects about 6 million revelers to participate in the raucous street parties, where groups made up of musicians, percussionists, and still artists draw thousands of partygoers, many scantily dressed and covered in glitter. In Sao Paulo, 14 samba schools competed with each other in floats and dances. Dark-toned floats and theatrical performances turned the Sambadrome into a spectacle of fantasy, while also framing witches as symbols of women's resistance throughout history. Brazilian actress Fabi Bang, known for playing Glinda in the local production of Wicked, joined the parade. And that's the news. Thanks for watching.